Good evening. A good friend of mine recently asked me to speak on evil. The problem with speaking about evil is, well, there's a couple of problems. In order to think about evil, you have to make a choice. Either think empathically, like you would think of another human being that you're trying to get an understanding of. So you feel your way into what it's like to be that person. That's how we all do that to a larger or lesser extent. But and you can do that with all kinds of phenomena as well, like natural phenomena, social phenomena, natural phenomena. But when you do that with moral phenomena, such as evil, there's an instinct that tells you to back off and go, no, no. To really empathically, you know, transpose myself into the mindset of, let's say, a person who is doing evil, who is being wicked, then, you know, in a sense, I become that person a little bit, or have to in order to really enter into their mindset, to become that sinister person that I'm trying to get a hold of, get a grip on, to acquire an understanding of. And the problem with being that person is that, you know, we all have evil. You know, everything that we find in everyone else, everyone, I mean really everyone else, can also be found within ourselves. It's universal law. We don't really want to look at that all the time, and that's really okay because it's not a pleasant thing to do. But that's how it is. Each one of us reflect all of humanity, every race, every creed, every class, every nation, every culture, every gender, you know, the whole spectrum between man and woman, everything. It's all within each of us, more or less. So, evil is also within each of us. And when we look at evil, we kind of stimulate evil. That's why you don't want to talk about evil with children. Everyone has a feeling for that, that we should talk to children about evil in a kind of distant way. Like it's not really happening, or it's not really them, or it's not really there. It's a troll in a fairy tale, or it's a dragon, or it's a wicked witch, or it's a something. King Herod, you know, it's far away, long time ago. So that's the one problem in looking at evil. And the second problem is kind of a byproduct of the first problem, and that is that when we do look at evil, anyways, then our thoughts and our language become kind of uncommitted. Like we're talking about something that really doesn't matter. That's a matter of no consequence. And that's a result of this distant attitude that you have to the subject matter in order not to be affected or wounded by it, in order not to be just a tad more evil oneself. So now that I'm going to talk about evil, I'm going to have to do it in a kind of an abstract and distant way, as if it didn't really matter to our personal lives. But it does, and it will, and we all know that. So, just like with good, there's a threefoldness to evil. In Christian tradition, we talk about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit as the idea of goodness. It's a totality, it's a oneness, but it's a threefold oneness. It's like three aspects of the one and same thing. Goodness, God, if you will. Transcendence, immanence, grace, all of that stuff. Evil does also have three dimensions like that, although they're not really coherent in the same way as goodness is coherent. Goodness is experienced as a unity. That's why we call it Trinity, and not just three things, disparate, separate things. So With evil, it's harder to see how they're connected. So when we think of evil, we think of maybe this sinister, I really want you to suffer type of evil. But that's not the first evil that we encounter in ourselves, or really in one another either, but especially not in ourselves. Evil, in that sinister sense, is a result of evil in the seductive sense. Nobody's seduced by meanness or wickedness. No sane, healthy soul is seduced by that. But we are seduced by seductive things. That kind of goes without saying. We're seduced by things that presents themselves to us like an alternative, like a reasonable alternative to feeling better. Oh, I would really, really like to have a bite of that apple. It would make me feel so good. It would make me so high, and it would make me so wise. You know, Adam and Eve and the serpent and the apple in the Garden of Eden, in the narrative of our culture. I would really like to have that new car, even though I can't really afford it. Or maybe the kids don't really need all the stuff that, I was thinking of getting for them, or the savings that I made for them, or whatever that my wife wanted. Or I would really like to be lovers with that lady. That my wife wouldn't have to know about it, would she? Or I would really like to have a better job than my colleague. Well, I could lie about my credentials just a little bit, It wouldn't really cause any harm. All of that I would like to have. It tastes good. It makes me feel more powerful, more significant, more bigger. And why can I do that? Why would it be okay for me to just grab that cookie when nobody's watching? Why? Because I'm significant. I'm just a little more significant than I am. That's the first type of evil. That's a seductive evil. Not the sinister evil, the seductive evil. The seductive evil, like Loki, like Lucifer, like anything tasty, sweet, sexy, beautiful, nice, desirable. It appeals to our desire nature. It gets the better of us and makes us stray away from what our conscience tells us is the right thing to do. And it's that seductive type of evil that gets us in situations where we freely again choose the sinister evil. Nobody wants to go there for a starter, as I said, but whenever the seductive evil has brought us into situations where there's no way out unless we whatever, kill our wife, kill the cop, kill something, kill the truth by lying, kill beauty by being ugly, psychologically ugly, morally ugly, whatever. Then we choose the path that leads us to the sinister evil. We become mean-spirited. We become willing to do bad things, to lie, to cheat, to make others suffer. Maybe not as a means and a goal in itself, but, once you've killed, you can kill again. Once you've lied, you can lie again. Once you've stolen, you can steal again. Eventually, you come to identify as somebody that can steal, lie, kill, be it flesh or spirit or soul. Truth, beauty, good intentions. So, that's a sinister evil. Very different. So evil is a polarity. Good is not a polar opposite to evil. The polar opposite to one evil is another evil. The polar opposite to the seductive evil is the sinister evil. it's only the seductive type of evil that'll open the vista, open the door for sinister evil. We don't want to be sinister. I mean, nobody thinks of themselves as being sinister. You just do what you need to do in order for something greater good to manifest later on. That's how it works. And then there is a third step in evil, and that's when another urge kicks in, and that's the urge to just simply destroy. To say no to any kind of striving, any kind of ideal, any kind of desire to achieve something of value and enduring significance. Blah, kill, away with culture, away with human striving. Historically, we can see these three types of evil: the seductive evil, the sinister evil, and the destructive evil, manifesting in the pre-Christian culture life of the Orient, where people worshipped deities and gods that promised to produce a sense of bliss, a sense of inner freedom without social consequences. You can still be like a normal person, doing normal things, eating normal things, or even if you have to let go of that, then you withdraw in seclusion so that you can, in repose, in meditation, achieve an inner peace and an inner serenity and an inner freedom. But you turn your back on the world, you turn your back on the suffering, needy world. You don't really interact with it. So instead of being there for the needy, you turn your back on them in order to be blissful. And a retreat in Poland where you learn how to breathe, or whatever. Then the Christian impulse came around and connected, a search for God with social concern, with social activity, like be good to your neighbor, take care of the ones that suffer, develop empathy, develop co-suffering, like suffer from your neighbor's suffering. So that a spiritual person is a moral person that cannot feel satisfied when his brother is dissatisfied, and his brother is his neighbor, the one that's next to him. Maybe not the whole world, but at least whoever you run into, whoever you see, whoever is next to you. So your suffering is my suffering, and I can go through hard things for you, with you. That whole Christian idea of being helpful, being compassionate, being willing to sacrifice in order to create a good society. That actually opens up for the second, the sinister evil. The greater good kind of thing. Like, in order for the greater good to manifest, must make sacrifices. Well, now that's fine, but I must sacrifice my children, I must sacrifice my spouse, I must sacrifice my colleagues, I must sacrifice my people, my nation, that stuff. When you sacrifice things that aren't really yours to sacrifice, sacrificing your heritage, for instance, sacrificing your children's future. So the principle of sacrifice, while a necessary component in any spiritual striving, of course, since it's useful, it can also be abused. Anything useful can be abused and will be abused, has been and will be and is being abused. So the spirit of sacrifice, which is really the key to any kind of magic, can also be abused, and then we have a cultural condition that opens up for the third and purely destructive form of evil. It's not even selfish. It's just committed to destroy human striving, human hope, human dignity, human culture. So that then is the evil that corresponds to the Father in the Trinity of the good. The sinister evil corresponds to the Son, and we find that often in Christian cultures. And the seductive evil corresponds to, obviously, the Holy Spirit. So without the all-encompassing sense of wholeness, the Sophia, the divine feminine that creates a sense of wholeness between the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, without that Sophia, without that feminine component, they will turn into their evil counterparts. The Holy Spirit will be replaced by the seductive evil, the Son will be replaced by the sinister evil, and the Father will be replaced by the destructive evil. Now we see that in pre-Christian spiritual strivings, Christian spiritual strivings, and in Mohammedan spiritual strivings. I'm not just talking about your ordinary Muhammad in London or New York or Paris or Stockholm, more likely. I'm talking about the jihadist, fanatic, fundamentalist sectarians. They exist in Shia, but to a much larger extent in the Sunni community. Not only as ISIS, but as all these Islamist, terrorist, fundamentalist groups and their silent supporters. And there are many. And they do dwell in London, New York, Paris, and Stockholm. They have been caught, and whoever thinks there's a sense of satisfaction when something, when a great work of human art and craft is destroyed. Like this ha, gotcha, fucker. That feeling, which does not intend to replace it by something better even. It just likes to see it go. It likes to see it die. That is the third evil that we need to be aware of as of present. And it is the sinister evil, the counterpart of the Son, that opens up the door for the third type of evil, for the destructive evil. Just like the seductive evil is opening the door for the sinister evil. Now you can go apply that freely as you wish to the life you live and the life you're concerned with, or the life of humanity, your culture, your family, whatever. That's it.